You killed her? Alright. What type of knife was it? Do you know?
Just a big size kitchen knife.
Derek Rosa, the 13-year-old boy caught on camera killing his mother, lays out in detail how he did it in an interview with police. But why he did it remains a mystery. I'm Angenette Levy. It's Tuesday, and this is Crime Fix, Law and Crime's look at the biggest stories in crime. Derek Rosa is just 13 years old. He's in the 8th grade, and he's facing a murder charge for the stabbing death of his mother, Irina Garcia. She'd just given birth to Derek's half-sister a week earlier. The baby was sleeping in a crib next to her mom when Derek said he stabbed her last October in their apartment in Hialeah, Florida. We've obtained a copy of his police interview, and listening to Derek, it's hard to believe he's only 13. Take a look.
You go to school, right? What grade are you in?
8th grade.
8th grade? Good student? A's and stuff like
A's
that?
and B's.
The detectives very plainly explained to Derek that he's under no obligation to speak to them. Pretty standard stuff when it comes to being interviewed by police.
Okay, read the second line.
You have the right to remain silent.
Okay, you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, write your name again if you understand that. Okay, read this line right here.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in court.
Okay, you understand that? Go ahead, the same procedure, just go ahead and put your initials or your signature.
Derek said he understood, and he declined to have a lawyer present, which is kind of interesting given the fact that he's only 13, so it makes you wonder, did he really understand what he was doing? He explained how he lived with his mom, his week-old half-sister, and his stepdad, who was out of town at the time. He explained what happened hours earlier.
So you went to sleep around 10?
10.
Okay, and then what?
I woke up, I went to the kitchen. I grabbed one of the kitchen knives, and then I went to her room, and then I
It's okay, you can say it.
killed her.
You killed her? Alright. What type of knife was it? Do you know?
Just a big size kitchen knife.
That big?
Yeah.
What color was the handle?
Purple.
Purple?
Yes.
Okay. Your mom was sleeping?
Yeah, she was sleeping.
Okay.
And then Derek talks about how he intended to take his own life.
So I went into the closet. I found his book bag because he goes shooting at gun ranges.
Okay.
I grabbed the gun. I put the magazine in the gun.
Okay.
I pulled back to slide, but I didn't want to shoot myself.
Okay.
I intended to shoot myself before, but I couldn't.
Okay.
Derek explains how he called an online friend he met through playing video games. They'd known each other for about 3 years. The details of what he told Sweden are redacted.
Okay. Did you send them any pictures?
Yes.
How many pictures did you send them?
I sent him 2 of my mom and then 1 of me.
Okay. What did he tell you?
He said he couldn't believe it.
Derek then said he called 911 to report what he had done.
Where exactly did you cut her?
At first, I cut her right here.
In her neck?
It's like a type of vein that goes through your neck right here on both sides. And if
Okay.
you stab here, a lot of blood sprays out right
Do
here.
you know what that's called?
Like an artery or something.
An artery?
Yeah.
Okay. And you purposely went for the artery? When you cut her?
Not on purpose, they just went for the neck, but I hit the artery.
Okay. Was there a lot of blood after?
There was a big puddle of blood on the floor.
Now, we've shown you before here on Crime Fix that photos from a home security camera show Derek standing over his mother. She was laying in bed. Other photos show the knife that Derek said that he used to stab his mom as she slept. He showed the detectives where he stabbed her.
Why did you stab your mom?
Can I go to the bathroom before I answer that?
Yes, of course, of course.
Give me 1 second. So you were about to tell me the why. Why did you kill your mother? Do you know?
If I have to say it now,
Yeah, get it off your chest. Absolutely.
I can only for a lawyer.
Okay, at this point, you want a lawyer?
Maybe not.
We can't, no, listen. Just so you understand, okay? You have mentioned or asked us, should you wait for a lawyer? We're not here to advise you on whether to talk to a lawyer or not. That decision is yours, okay? But if you are requesting a lawyer at this point, we can't interview you any further. You understand? We have to stop the interview.
Okay.
Do you want us to stop the interview?
Yes.
So there, the interview stopped. Police really had no choice. Once somebody asks for a lawyer or mentions a lawyer, the interview has to stop. As calm and cool as Derek seemed in the body camera footage last month in court, the seriousness of the situation appeared to be weighing on him. He held his head in his hands during a hearing where that interview played. Joining me to discuss this interrogation video and Derek Rosa is Gigi Gonzalez. She is a defense attorney in the Miami area and a frequent guest here on Law and Crime. Gigi, welcome to Crime Fix. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Angenette. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm sorry it's about something so heinous as this. Something that's really bothering me about this is the fact that this is a 13-year-old. He's obviously a smart kid, but it's chilling to watch this. I know that word seems to be overused at times, but he very calmly and very matter-of-factly describes murdering his mother. And I'm wondering what you think as an attorney watching this. I woke up and I got a knife and I stabbed my mom.
You know, it's not usual for a 13-year-old to even be involved in this kind of crime. I mean, the reason why it's so chilling is because you can't imagine a 13-year-old standing over his mother's body and sleeping body and stabbing her over 40 times. I mean, it's just not the type of crime that you imagine teenagers getting involved with. The fact that he is able to recall what he did to his mother in such a calm manner, to be able to illustrate and to point to where he stabbed his mother, what he said to her, if she said anything back, without even cracking his voice or taking it really think about, what is going on in this young boy's mind that he is able to not only perform such a chilling act, but to be able to describe it in such a calm manner.
What do you make of this, though? I mean, I'm looking at this kid. He's a kid. He kind of projects a little older, but he's still 13 years old. He's talking about playing video games. He's texting or messaging a friend afterwards who he's been friends with online through the video game community or what have you for 3 years. So he was 10 back then. He tells his friend what he did. His friend's like, what? I can't believe you did that. What did you do? And he's just kind of talking about this. I mean, what do you do with this as an attorney? I just don't get it. It's horrifying. And the little baby is sleeping next to mom, his little week-old half-sister. What do you do with this?
Oh, yeah. If you get into the details of it, it just becomes even harder to imagine. I mean, the fact that he committed this crime against his mother while his infant sister is sleeping is just, it's gruesome. What you do with this is you try to explore what kind of mental health defenses are available to him. Was this boy getting the treatment that he needed? Was he diagnosed appropriately? Is this a situation where, video games corrupted his sensibilities? I mean, there's really no telling. From the pictures and from the support that his family has been giving him throughout this event, you could see that he comes from a caring family. Folks love him and believe in him receiving justice despite what he's committed here. So I have to wonder if there's some sort of issue, mental health issue at play that prevented him from truly understanding what he did at the time. Because, I mean, the fact that he's able to describe it with seemingly no remorse or emotion must indicate some sort of mental incapacity or mental illness.
He's very cognizant of what's going on. They go through the Miranda waiver form with him. He understands exactly what they're saying. I mean, they kind of had to explain the word coerce to him. But all in all, he gets it. And later on in the interview, they ask him why he did it. And he's like, well, let me go to the bathroom first. And I'll tell you. And then he gets up and he goes to the bathroom. He comes back a few minutes later. And then they kind of get back around to it. And he's like, oh, yeah, now I want a lawyer. Because he doesn't want to say why he did it without a lawyer. So he's a smart kid. I mean, he's 13. He's a child. But he's smart enough to know that all of a sudden he should be asking for a lawyer, even though it's all caught on video. So I'm confounded by all of this. Watching a 13-year-old who did this, then calls 911 and rats himself out. He tells on himself, and then he recounts all of this, and then gives a full statement to police, and then lawyers up. I'm at a loss for words.
I think that goes to show that he's not truly aware completely of what's going on here. I mean, you would think that someone who's aware of his rights in that regard, that he knows he should lawyer up, is the first person he's calling a police dispatcher to tell on himself. Is he going to be sitting with police officers for 20 minutes or so without telling them in every detail what he did, what he said? And then all of a sudden, when the question of why comes up, that's when he decides to lawyer up. I mean, he's either smart enough to know not to talk to cops or not smart enough to realize he shouldn't be talking to cops. Either way, I mean, the mere fact that he asks for a lawyer after being interrogated to the point where everything else he said is going to be held against him. It's going to be used as a confession and as an admission. The fact that he doesn't admit the why of it, is that really telling us that he's smart enough to know not to talk to cops?
I don't know. He seems pretty smart to me. He knew full well what he was doing. I mean, I think they were even surprised as they were going through the Miranda form with him, because he said, well, I don't really do initials. I do a signature. And the one cop kept looking up at the other cop. They're like dumbfounded, because I know what they're used to dealing with. You know what they're used to dealing with. They're used to dealing with hardened criminals. They're used to dealing with people who are going to play the game and dance the dance and deny it or ask for a lawyer right away. That's what they're used to. I mean, this is a kid who killed his mom. He might be pleading not guilty at this point, but it's all on tape. And he's on, it's on video. There's the crime is on video, but then he's on video admitting to it. So I'm at a loss for where they go with this, his lawyers or anything.
I mean, like you said, it's you've got his confession to the 911 dispatcher. You've got his confession to the police officers. You've got the nanny cam that captures him standing over his mom's sleeping body before he actually commits the murder. I mean, the evidence is stacked up against him. If we're discussing a potential defense, I don't think any defense lawyer can say Derek Rosa didn't do it. I think the only shot he's got is to try and get into his mind and figure out if he did this because of some sort of, by reason of insanity, or he's got some sort of mental defect that prevents him from really understanding this. And like you said, he's smart enough to be able to ask for a lawyer and to understand the questions that are being asked of him. Now the question is, does he actually realize what he did? Does he understand what he did? And those are the things that the experts are going to have to get into in order to try to mitigate the situation.
He said that he went to look for his stepdad's gun, or one of his stepdad's guns, in order to try to take his own life, but then couldn't do it. What do you think of that?
I think that's the moment maybe he snaps too, or realizes maybe this is going too far. Because it's one thing, when you're a 13-year-old kid, to act in such a way without understanding the consequences. But when you're committing the act against yourself, you're suddenly very aware of the consequences. If I take this gun and shoot myself and kill myself, that's over. Can you really... it's a very interesting case. I mean, what's really sad about this is we're trying to get into the head of a 13-year-old kid who committed this. I think it's easy when it's an adult to say, oh, they should have known, and there's no way you could stab someone over 40 times and think they're going to survive. But this is a 13-year-old who is not thinking with the mentality of consequences. He's thinking of the mentality of, I feel something and I have to take care of it right now. And again, this is going to come down to a battle of the experts. The state's experts are going to say that this kid knew very well what he was doing. And the defense experts are going to try to figure out if there's a mental illness or a mental defect that prevented him from truly understanding the situation.
Well, we will have to wait and see. He's in court this week for just kind of a procedural type hearing. We'll see where it goes from there. Gigi Gonzalez, thank you so much for coming on Crime Fix. We appreciate it.
And thanks for having me. Always a pleasure, Angenette.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. I'm Angenette Levy. We will see you back here tomorrow. Until then, have a great night.